My name is Brenda Richardson, and I am a proud resident of Ward 8 who cares very deeply about her city and the safety of our neighborhoods. I am so appreciative that our voices were a part of and listened to throughout this process. I testified at many public hearings about these proposals, and Councilmember Pinto followed up with me to hear more about my thoughts and experiences. Guess what? I invited her and hosted Councilmember Pinto at my house, and in the evening, so that she could see and understand the challenges of my neighborhood experiences. She really listened, you guys. She really listened. It is an honor to be a part of this historical event, to sign the legislation for Secure DC. I am so pleased that this is a comprehensive and meaningful package, Mayor, to prevent crime as well as better coordination to fill the gap to keep our disfavored neighborhoods safe. The DC community is clamoring for change so we can feel safe rather than continuing to be traumatized and living in fear. Special thanks to Councilmember Brooke Pinto for her outstanding leadership on this effort. To our mayor, thank you for allowing this monumental legislation to be a part of your legacy and your leadership. It is my distinct honor. We've got the best mayor in the whole world. Mayor Muriel Bowser. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And Brenda, when we hear this on TV, this picked it up, okay? So everybody who's watching at home can hear every single word that was just said. And for everyone assembled here, I want to thank Brenda Richardson for her leadership on this and so many issues in the District of Columbia, bringing the voice of neighborhoods and people to this building. And that's so important, that the legislation that we craft not only addresses the things that we see, but also what we hear in our efforts to make our policy environment a good one. This is a day of celebration and a day to mark how we make our city safer and stronger. I am pleased to welcome you to City Hall. We're joined today by members of the council. I first want to acknowledge our chairman, Chairman Phil Mendelson. Please give him a round of applause. At-large Council Member Anita Bonds. Please give her a big round of applause. Ward 3 Council Member Matt Fruman. Please acknowledge Matt Fruman. And our Ward 2 Council Member and Chairwoman of the Committee on Public Safety and Justice, Brooke Pinto. Please give her a big round of applause. So I want to thank the council for advancing Secure DC, and I want to thank Councilmember Pinto for working diligently on a number of bills, nearly, I'm told, 100 provisions in total in Secure DC, including the provisions that we advanced last summer and the council approved by emergency, which is already demonstrating that writing our policy environment makes our city safer. Secure DC will help us rebalance that public safety ecosystem that has changed over the last 10 years, and we're starting to swing it back to the right place. I'm signing Secure DC today, and that means that the chief and our public safety partners will be able to implement many of the provisions immediately. Let me acknowledge as well our Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, who's behind me, I think. Here she is, Lindsay Apia. And Lindsay is responsible for working with all of our public safety agencies in making sure they have exactly what they need to keep our city safe. And I too want to acknowledge the Chief of Police, Pamela Smith. Please acknowledge the Chief. Who is working diligently. We just finished our meeting where the chief briefs me on crime trends citywide. So here's some good news. The numbers are going in the right direction. For the first 2.5 months of this year, homicides are down 33% in Washington, D.C. Violent crime is down 14%. Property crime down 12%. And overall crime is down 13%. So all that means is we have to put our foot on the gas even more to get to where we need to be. The vast majority of our people, and I don't have to tell you this, live and come into our city and they do exactly what they're supposed to do. They focus on their own lives, take care of their families, and enjoy Washington, D.C. And so only the people who should be concerned about secure D.C. are people who are using guns in our city, robbing or carjacking, or stealing from stores, bringing drugs and violence into our neighborhoods. We want the message to be very clear. If you are participating in those activities, we will hold you accountable. Our community has sent a very clear message. People are tired of crime and violence, and they want accountability. Secure DC will help our law enforcement partners deliver that accountability. We are proud of MPD. Our city has worked for more than 20 years to build an MPD into a department that the community can trust and a department that reflects the community at large. And we are going to keep building on those efforts. I've said it before, we are a community that understands the importance of opportunity. We believe in second chances, but we also believe if you're making our city less safe, there will be consequences. So after I sign this bill, we're going to keep pushing. We will continue to look for ways to make our city safer, but we also know that this is a community-wide effort. The government can't do it alone. We need everyone in our city and our public safety ecosystem to do their part. And so with that, I want to acknowledge a council member who has taken the reins of this committee, and it is a difficult committee. It's a lot of disparate interests and issues, but there's really nothing more important that the government has to do than to make sure its residents are safe. And so I am grateful to the council member for working collaboratively with our offices and with the council members to advance this very important bill. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke Pinto.
Wow. Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here with you all today. And I want to thank you, Brenda, for your kind words and your collaboration throughout this process. Your story has really stayed in my heart throughout the entirety of this legislative process, and I appreciate it so much. I want to thank Mayor Bowser for your steadfast partnership and shared commitment in building a safer, stronger, and secure DC. I am so glad that Chairman Mendelson and Councilmember Bonds and Councilmember Fruman are here, who have been instrumental partners in shepherding this bill across the finish line and making sure that we can be responsive to what district residents are calling for. I also want to thank our Judiciary Committee Director, who is here, Evan Maroff, who is unbelievably instrumental to this process, literally working around the clock over the past year to get this bill accomplished. I am Brooke Pinto. I am the Ward 2 council member, and I am thrilled that we are here today on this monumental occasion that marks a real turning point in the direction for the safety of our communities, for district residents, visitors, and businesses. Getting to this moment of signing Secure DC into law has been a year-long process. Last year, I became the chairwoman of the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety, and 1 year ago exactly, I held a 3-day gun violence reduction roundtable where we heard from hundreds of residents, healthcare providers, families, young people, educators, leaders, and community members who have been clamoring for change and clamoring for a safer city that we can all be proud of. These ideas, along with others from meetings and forums, led me to sit down with government partners and experts to explore the gaps in our public safety ecosystem, especially with our Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice, Lindsay Appiah, and our Chief of Police, Chief Pamela Smith. I am grateful for the collaboration that has defined this robust and thoughtful legislative process. The collaboration included partnerships with Mayor Bowser, who introduced 2 critical bills, Act Now and Safer Stronger, that are included in Secure DC, and we partnered to pass the public safety emergency bills last summer. It included all of my council colleagues, some of whom introduced bills, ideas, and provisions of their own and worked closely with me and my team to strengthen this bill. It included agency leaders across district government and federal government and experts within our communities and across our country about these provisions. And most importantly, it included literally thousands of stakeholders and residents across the district who brought various perspectives and solutions to help shape this legislation. It included public safety walks in all 8 wards, public hearings on all of the bills included in Secure DC, community events and forums, meetings with countless DC residents and stakeholders in living rooms, schools, libraries, offices, and communities across every corner of this city. I am proud of and confident in the public engagement process that has guided and shaped this iterative legislative process to ensure that Secure DC, the bill that we are signing today, is strong and will make meaningful, sustainable change across the district, and most importantly, can be implemented right away. Providing for the safety and well-being of our communities stands as a core tenet of our Democratic Party values. Values that have always advocated for stronger gun control, expanded opportunities for our families and our young people, programming and support for women and survivors, accountability for crime, and avenues for rehabilitation and diversion, support for our law enforcement partners to ensure that they have the needed tools to promote safety in all of our neighborhoods. And Secure DC holds these democratic values as guiding principles for each of the over 100 different interventions. I want to highlight just a few of the provisions in Secure DC that I know will make a meaningful difference to prevent crime and end cycles of violence, ensure accountability when crime does occur, and improve our government coordination and response. We focused on preventing crime and ending cycles of violence by providing grants and supports to all of our commercial corridors across the city, starting a blue light program so people waiting alone at a bus stop can easily contact an emergency responder, establishing a pre-arrest diversion task force to provide supports to those in need who may have mental health or substance abuse challenges, creating a hospitality training program in our DC jail to set people up for success when they come home. We're doing more to hold perpetrators of crime accountable, creating new gun offenses to address the unacceptable level of gun violence and illegal firearms flooding into our city. We're expanding the definition of carjacking to respond to that emergent and disturbing trend. Creating felony offenses for strangulation, a key indicator for future homicide to protect survivors of domestic violence, and expanding pretrial detention so that judges can have the discretion to hold people who commit violent crimes accountable. We're making major improvements to our government coordination with improving accuracy and transparency for our 911 call system, creating an annual firearm tracing system to understand where all of these illegal guns are flowing from and intervening earlier, supporting victims of crime who need follow-ups and resources following an incident to prevent retaliatory shootings, and supporting our police to ensure that they have the tools that they need to do their jobs. This is a strong bill that came together through a strong process with thoughtful ideas that can and must be implemented. Today, I am thrilled and proud to join the thousands of district residents who are hopeful for a safer city. Today is a major step in the right direction. But this does not mean the work is over. We must continue to invest in our district values. And as a government, we must continue to support our kids and families, support violence interruption and prevention work, support all of our public safety partners, and support and provide for the economic stability of all district residents. These issues are real challenges that deserve the same level of attention, investment, and buy-in to make the sustainable, meaningful, and common sense impact that all of our communities need. No matter what neighborhood you live in the district, you deserve to be safe, and the government should and will support your safety and your well-being. I believe that the government has no greater responsibility than to provide for the safety and well-being of all of our residents, and today we lived up to that responsibility. Thank you.
And so before we move on to sign the bills, both the emergency and the permanent. Okay, fantastic. I would like to recognize the chairman of the council, Phil Mendelson.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. I realize that I stand between this bill not being enacted yet and being enacted, so I shouldn't speak very long. I really just want to thank the mayor for working with the council, and especially thank Brooke Pinto. I used to chair our judiciary committee, so I know a little bit about the work that's involved. In fact, our last vote, kind of epitomized half the chamber was full, and half the chamber thought the bill didn't go far enough, and half the crowd thought the bill went too far, and Councilmember Pinto was able to navigate us to a place that I think is the right place. There are a number of provisions in there which both the mayor and Councilmember Pinto went through, but I think that citizens have a right to feel safe in the city, and citizens also have a right to feel that their government is listening to them and being responsive, and that's what we tried to do. And I noted that I think one of the more important provisions in there is refining or clarifying the law regarding carjackings, and notice you all applauded to that because that really has been on the mind of so many residents. But there are other provisions in there as well addressing the recent trends with organized retail theft, clarifying some provisions that the police felt was a bit too constraining, such as with vehicular chases. So with Councilmember Pinto's work, we've tried to find the right balance, and I'm glad that we're here, and I've talked longer than I meant to since the bill still has not been signed.
Thank you. couple of questions. Emphasis on couple. Press corps. Anybody from the press have questions? Questions?
Hi, Mayor. Sorry, I'm a little short. Rebecca with 7 News here.
Okay, all right. I actually can't see you, Rebecca. Okay, there you are. Okay.
First, real quick, just your reaction. This is a pretty monumental day.
My reaction? Well, I've been talking about my reaction, and I think that you've heard from all the speakers that this is carefully crafted legislation addressing emerging trends, addressing gaps that we see in our public safety ecosystem that we believe is already bearing fruit by the emergency that the council passed last summer. And now we're beginning to see the number of incidents with guns going down significantly by 30%. That's a good number. That's where you want to see these numbers going. And we're going to keep pushing until we get where we need to be. I think I would also emphasize what the council member said is that this is one piece of what we need to do, and we're going to continue to work together.
And a follow-up as it relates to Secure DC and the DC Crimes Act. I know you and the chairman sent a letter last week expressing your concerns on that. Aside from what you feel is a legislative overstep, are there any parts of the bill that you potentially agree with, like potentially lowering the age of youth offender status?
If I did, I would address it with the people behind me because that's where local legislation should happen.
Hi, Mayor Bowser, Bob Barnard with Fox 5. Anything you can attribute the good trend of crime going down in the city? This bill is being signed today, but the numbers are going down. How do you account for that?
So I want to be careful not to point to one single thing that's driving it down or one single thing that drove it up in the first place. But I do think that prosecutors and judges are holding the right people. People who have committed a dangerous crime, have a history of committing dangerous crime, and are now being held pre-trial. So, I'm not in law enforcement, so I'm not going to talk like the police, but my father used to tell me this all the time. You want to see shooting go down? You got to deal with the shooters. And now I believe prosecutors and judges are holding shooters, and we're seeing shooting going down. Yep.
Hi there, Scott Gelman with WTOP. At the time that the council was voting on this, there was some conversation that this had perhaps been represented as sort of a one-size-fits-all solution for crime. So I'm just wondering what your reaction is to residents who are wondering how soon can they see the impact of some of this legislation?
As I mentioned, and I'll ask the council member to address the emergency provisions. But I think, our process, once I sign it, there's still, sometimes a lag or a delay. So the council has separated the provisions that can go into effect immediately upon my signature. And we're doing that. I'll talk a little bit about one that the chief gave me a preliminary briefing on about drug-free zones. MPD has, for the last several weeks, been analyzing data. And I know the chief will make some decisions based on that data of where to deploy that tool immediately. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody.